Kevin here from DIYToWork.com. Today I want to show you how our brand new concrete driveway was installed. Now this project was way bigger than something I could take on my own, so we hired it out, but I tried to take as much video as I could to show you how it's done without being like the annoying homeowner that's like constantly in the way. But it turned out awesome. We're not on the street anymore. Now we're actually parking up by the house, and it turned out great. So check this out. It's pretty cool. Alright, so this is day 2. There was a 3-day holiday weekend in between when it rained, so they had to wait an extra day to come in. But now they are busting the wooden forms out so they can start pouring more concrete. While the other guys are taking the forms away, one of them's here at the Bobcat again. He's smoothing out the transition for the rest of the driveway to go down to the road so they can bust out the concrete curb down there. So hopefully this will be able to be finished today and go by pretty smoothly. Alright, so I just went out there and I helped them figure out where I wanted the outside framing there. You can see it kind of cuts at an angle. Now they're leveling it out, which I missed last time when I was running some errands. But it looks fairly simple, just kind of scooping the high spots and then dropping it like here on the edge where it's kind of low, getting it all set up. I'll be curious to see how they chunk up the curb down to the street. I'm hoping they do that because that's going to be really important, but I think they'll be doing that pretty soon. Alright, so here's how they're leveling it out. Pretty smart idea. They're just laying a big 20-foot wide board on there and taking measurements to make sure that gravel is at the right measurement. It looks like probably, I guess they're wanting 4 inches or maybe 5 or 6. I'm not sure if they're going to add more. Yeah, I guess they are adding a little more gravel. And then the concrete itself will be 4 inches. So, also down there at the Bobcat, he's scooping away at the curb, the part I was kind of worried about, to get some of the extra gravel here. So it looks like they are going to be cutting it pretty soon. Which is awesome, because we could never get in the driveway. It was just too steep. Our cars wouldn't even fit over the curb. It was just way too tall. Alright, so here's where they are right now. They got it all leveled out. They got all the framing up, and they're putting the rebar in now, which goes pretty quick. Just lay it out, and then they're just wiring all the cross sections there. And then when they pour the concrete, they just kind of lift it up, and it'll float inside there. And I asked about the curb, and he said they're going to do that later. What they're going to do is pour this top part up here first. With 4 inches of concrete, and then when they get towards the bottom, they'll cut the curb out, and then the 6 feet up from the road, it has to be 6 inches of concrete. And he said if they tear out the curb right now, the concrete truck is so heavy that it'll just totally crack and tear up the paved road down there, so they got to keep the concrete right now, which totally makes sense now that I think about it. So anyway, it's getting real close. It seems like it's going even faster today than the first day they did it. Alright, they're cutting the curb away now, and they're actually 2 feet out from the driveway so that they can do like a curved transition into it, so it's easier to like turn into the driveway. But what a giant mess, wow. Alrighty, and there we go. The truck just showed up and they're already pouring the concrete. Going real fast today. Check that out. Pretty cool. Now I was curious how they were going to pour this section of the driveway since it slopes downhill. And it looks like what they're doing is they're just using a drier mix, not quite as wet as this, the first day they poured. And they're just loading it out with the big board there, kind of smoothing it out, and then they'll go over it later and really skim over it and smooth it out real easy. But pretty cool how they can just adjust the amount of moisture, and the concrete will work exactly how they want it to. And here's a good shot of them using the board to just level out the concrete, kind of roughing it out, and then the other guy is skimming it already. I guess they do that while it's still really wet and it's easy to work with. He also sprayed it a little bit with the hose just to wet it down a little more. I guess it gets a nice smooth finish. And when it dries a little bit later, they'll do the brush finish like they did the first day. But now I'm curious, they're getting to that narrow section and it's going to taper a lot more, and I'm curious how they're going to keep it from running that way. Maybe they'll pour smaller sections or something. I'm not real sure. Alright, so it looks like it turns out to not be a big deal at all. The concrete is dry enough that it's not flowing whatsoever, which I'm sure they've done this long enough they know how to adjust the moisture and all that. So looks like they can just skim it like normal and it'll be fine. I am definitely curious about the very bottom though, when they mess with the curb and all that. It has to be thicker concrete and they still have to cut it away. I want to see how they do that when all this concrete's still wet here. So I guess I'll check that out here in a minute. Alright, so you probably can't see it, but down at the very bottom at that 6 foot mark, where they have to be 6 feet away from the curb, they just put another one of these framing boards on there to stop the concrete, and a couple of stakes. You can kind of see, I guess my finger's not going to work, but you can see a couple of stakes there holding it up. So you're going to let it dry, and then I guess once it's cured enough that they can take that board away, then they'll start messing with the curb. So pretty cool. They got it all smoothed out, and I mean, this is going fast. It's only been about 3 hours since they started this morning, and it's already almost all poured. Pretty awesome. All right, now they're just doing the last smooth down on the very edge, and then running the edge over there to get a nice crisp line. And looks like they're just about done dealing with this part. I think they're going to let it dry, harden up, and then they'll deal with the part down by the curb. Like I said earlier, I just can't believe how fast this is going today. It's even faster than the last time. It's about half the time today. Alright, so the concrete has dried enough that now they are doing the broom finish on there, just to give it a little more texture. And then they're going to let it dry, and it looks like they're just about to start working on the curb down by the road. So I thought they were probably going to just use the Bobcat to kind of dig up the curb, but it ended up being too big of a project for it. So instead of using a jackhammer, which I guess they don't have, they're just trying to beat it loose with the sledgehammer, and then that guy's sitting there prying it, and they're just breaking little chunks off and throwing it in there. I think they're going to probably have to figure out something better, or they're going to be there forever. There we go, that's more like it. They went and rented a jackhammer attachment for the Bobcat. Now they're tearing through it no problem. I was going to say, if they were trying to do it with those sledgehammers, that would have taken them all day. I saw that concrete, it was thick down there. But they're tearing through it quick now, and then they're going to form it up and get it poured pretty soon. Yeah, look at the size of those chunks of concrete they're trying to tear out of there. There's no way they would have done those with a sledgehammer. But it's going quick now. He jackhammered. It only took about 5 minutes, and all of it's busted up, and now they're loading it. And they've already started pulling out the forms, too. They took the ones out here, you can see, so that's all raw concrete. And then down there, they got some flexible forms that they're going to use to kind of put like a curve to it. So it's pretty cool. It's going to get done real soon. All right, so they're putting in the little flexible framing pieces down at the bottom. It kind of curves around. They're just driving in stakes and then wrapping that little piece of wood around it. Looks like it was just a piece of plywood, maybe about a, I don't know, 1/4 inch or something like that. So it's kind of flexible, about 8 feet long and maybe 6 inches wide. And they're just curving around all these stakes, just keeping it real simple. I don't think, yeah, you can't see the one over there, but they did it. Now they're getting that one finished. All right, the truck showed up, and now they're pouring the new curb down there, getting it all set. And they went ahead and they put dirt back around the edges here and cleaned it up, and they said they'll come back tomorrow, do some finishing touches, and run the saw through the concrete to put some score marks in there in case it wants to crack. But they did a real good job today, and real quick too. It's going to be pretty awesome having a driveway instead of parking out in that road. Alright, so they got all the concrete poured and the truck left, so now they are smoothing it out with the little skimmer there. And the rolled lip on both sides where it kind of curves, and then also the edge down where it meets the road. They formed all that by hand. I was curious how they did it, and all they did was just, you know, kind of pile up some concrete and then just use hand tools to kind of form that lip. And like I said, they're using that skimmer now to smooth it out, and then it's getting real close to being done. Alright, so check that out. They just left and got it all wrapped up today, letting it dry. They got to do a couple touch-ups tomorrow. Couple last minute things, but here's a transition. This turned out great. I mean, that is nice and smooth. Here's that flexible, I thought it was plywood, but it's just a flexible piece of looks like fiberboard, something like that. They pulled all the stakes out and just leaving it till tomorrow. But that transition is great. It's just a small lip to keep rainwater rolling down, but other than that, you can just go right up. I mean, compare it to the old concrete one down there. Huge difference. So this will be awesome. About a week from now, we should be able to park on this. He said they'll come through tomorrow, and they're going to cut a couple of lines across it to kind of keep the concrete from just doing all kinds of crazy cracking and all that. And then they'll clean up some of these edges here, and this thing will be wrapped up. Alright, so it's been a couple days since they finished it up and let it dry. Now what they're doing is they're out there and they're chalk lining a couple of spaces to cut some like little seams into it, so that way if it cracks, the cracks won't go like all the way down the driveway. They'll stop at the seams, or maybe even just crack at the seam instead of like down the middle. So anyway, they just did the lines. We'll see how they cut them, see how it goes from there. Alright, there he goes. He just got his gas-powered concrete saw there and just cutting it with the blades about maybe 3/4 of an inch deep, something like that. Just makes a little gap, and that's the finishing touch. Then he said just let it dry until about middle of next week, about a solid week since they poured it, and we should be able to drive on it. So pretty awesome. All right, and here it is all finished. The back here, they just sloped down some dirt, but I might go ahead and put some landscaping blocks back here when we start messing with the landscaping. Smooth out all this dirt and put some grass seed down. And then those piles of dirt over there are actually going to go in front of the house where we dug up the sidewalk. And we're going to put these landscaping patio blocks up there as well as kind of a faux sidewalk to see if we like that look. And then maybe we'll pour some concrete later. But anyway, from the edge of this to the house, I think is 18 feet 4 inches or something like that, which is close for 2 cars. But then if we put up a metal carport, we can do a 16-foot or maybe squeeze a 17-foot in there. And that'd be about all we could do. So it'd be kind of a tight fit, but we can get 2 cars. It's better than parking out in the street like we have for the last couple of years. So anyway, got a nice and wide spot up here, and then right here you can see it angles down into like a single 12-foot wide lane, and we angled it part way in the yard so that way we could pull up, and if a car is parked right here we have enough room to start turning and then pull in straight. And turned out pretty awesome. And then we just have a nice transition down to the street, real nice and smooth, so we can actually pull up here. So now I just gotta wait almost a week or so and we'll be able to park up here. It turned out really, really nice.